Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hacking Self Storage. So it's Friday morning today, 22nd of October, and I want to give you a little bit of advice. And like all my advice, I have paid for it in the wrong way. I have paid to learn. So hopefully me giving you this advice and telling you my experience, you don't have to pay the cost that I've paid. And it will be a six-figure price for myself. Without doubt, it's a six-figure price. And so the title for this podcast is Buy Cheap, Buy Twice. And what do I mean by that? I mean your advice. Your advice, it's not a cost, it's an investment. So when you have an accountant, when you have a solicitor, any form of advice that you get, then you have literally got to pay the very, very best you can. If you don't, it will come to bite you in the buttocks. So when we was first setting up my company, not first setting up, when we was first opening up Stormore, so we've been open like 5 years at Stormore. We've been open. It's been okay. It's been good. We've potted around, and Stormore was a completely different kettle of fish. And so what we had to do, we had to private fund it because it was a massive, big 30,000 square foot building. It was going to cost about £1 million in shop fitting, runway of cash, etc. So we had to private fund somewhat of it. The banks helped a little bit, but we had to private fund it. So I went to my friend, and this is when I don't want to beat myself up too much, but I wasn't aware of a process. I wasn't aware what equity to give, etc. And so we give my friend 10% equity in the business for £75,000. And I believe we still paid him a 3% interest rate or something like that. So in effect, I mean, you can look at it from both angles. You can look at it from my point of view and say, oh, I knew it was going to be a success, and yet I still give him 10% of the company. Or you can look at it from his point of view where he was saying, well, hang about, I was paying 10% of a company that was for, I was putting in 75 grand for 10% of a company. But this company, because Beverly, it wasn't getting anything of the already set up company. So Beverly 24, the container site that had been open 5 years, he was only getting something from Stormore moving forward. And so you can say it was a good deal for him or is a bad deal for him, depending on which way you look at it, or a good deal for me, or depending, so it wasn't a particularly bad deal in such. However, I remember having a word with my accountant, and I said to him, that I only wanted him to have 10% of that site because he was investing in that site. And my accountant said to me, and the problem is at this point in time, I wasn't educated enough. I didn't spend enough money on my investment in myself. This was over 5 years ago. This was 6 years ago now when I actually got the investment off him. He actually said to me, he said, Dean, you can't do that. If he's investing in your company, he's investing in your company. He's investing in the lifespan of this company. He's not investing in just one site. He's got to invest in the lot. And I was like, are you sure? Can I just invest in this one property, this one deal, this one facility? If he invests in this one facility, that's good for him because, it might be worth £10 million, it might be worth £8 million, but 10% of that, is a pretty good payout for him, and he's getting interest rate. No, sorry, Dean, it's got to be all or nothing. He either doesn't invest or he invests 10% of the full company moving forward. And I was like, oh, well, okay, fair enough. Anyway, that didn't really affect me at the time, but now, obviously, moving forward, he's got to have 10% of everything I do moving forward. Every deal I make, everything I do, my friend gets 10% off. Now, I don't too much mind because I will lord it over him. When we sell, by the way, it's a long, long time, or when I buy him out, he said he's not selling until he gets £2.5 million. And so when I buy him out for that £2.5 million, I am going to lord it over him forever. Every time we're at the pub or whatever, you're around. Meals, your meal. Because I'm going to load it up. And do you know what? It's nice because this particular friend of mine, I used to copy from at school because I was no good, as it happens, in business studies and economics. I used to copy off him because I was too busy playing football and stuff. And the deal we had is that at school, I could copy off him as long as he would go with me at football. So we used to play doubles on the playground. So he was my partner at football. And then, so he would get the benefit of me at football on the playground. And I would get the benefit of sitting next to him and copying him in lessons in business studies and economics. So we've been best mates for a long, long time. It was one of my best men at my wedding. And so it's not so, I don't so much mind because I don't treat money as everybody else treats money. I just, it's for me, it's tokens, they're fun tokens, they're experience tokens. That's what money is. So I'm not too bothered as such about that. But the big underlying lesson for me is if you pay twice, if you pay cheap or buy cheap, then you will pay twice. Whichever way, by hook or by crook, you will pay again. So for me, now I get the best solicitor I can afford, £250 an hour, because I know that he's going to dot every single I and cross every single T, and he's going to see things that I would never see. My first lease for my Beverly 24, I look at it now. My solicitors looked at it now and go, this is absolutely terrible. It's actually, I can't. There's one huge mistake in this lease, and I don't want to say too much about it because it's still half ongoing, but yeah, it's not particularly good. It's not, it don't protect him, it don't protect me, it's not good. And so the thing is, you've got to invest in the people around you. The advice you're getting, there's cheap advice and there's good advice. And just because it's cheap advice, it doesn't necessarily mean it's good advice. And if you follow that cheap advice, it could be costing you more money in the long run. So again, reach out and pay the very, very most you can for a mentor. And cheap advice is exactly what it is. It's cheap advice. And we don't want cheap advice. Most people get cheap advice, and we've got to zing when other people's are zagging. And that, most people get cheap advice, so we get the most expensive advice. We've got to get the most expensive solicitor we can possibly get, because we want to make sure that our contracts are tight, our employment laws tight, etc., etc., etc. Our accountant, my accountant, another problem. I mean, he's an amazing guy. He's a lovely, lovely guy. But he's not a businessman. He's not an entrepreneur. He's an accountant, my old accountant. My new accountant, he's expensive, but by hell, have we got a positive ROI, the way he structures my wages, the way he structures tax, everything, because the more you know, the more you can not get around things, but there's more answers. There's more answers. The more questions that you know to ask, the different answers you will get, and there's more ways around certain things. It's not just black and white all the time. And he, without doubt, is worth the investment. He's not the cheapest accountant, but he really is the best accountant that I've ever worked with. And it just goes to show that cheap is not always the way. So please learn from my mistakes. If you buy cheap, you buy twice. And by the way, that's in all aspects of life. I always say to my wife about clothes as well. My clothes last 2-3 years, and her clothes are literally, gone within, I don't know, a short period of time. It's because I like to buy nice clothes. You won't believe it, this hoodie I'm wearing if you're watching this on video. However, I do like to buy nice clothes, and they last longer. They look better, they last longer. It's a return on investment for me. And so it's like, it's all aspects of life. You buy cheap, you buy twice. And that is so critically important, that I don't want to be making this mistake again. And I don't want to be taking poor advice. I want to make sure that my advice is the best I can possibly get, the best I can possibly afford at the time. I'm even investing now into people who are going to structure deals for me. I'm paying a finder's fee for off-market deals. I'm paying somebody to do the negotiations for me, etc. I could do that, but I know somebody else will be better than that at me. Somebody who's a professional site finder will be able to find more deals than me, will be able to negotiate the rate better than me. And so you've got to be, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a manager, you've got to be able to give up the things that you do, because otherwise you cannot progress. As the years goes on, you've got to be giving up more and more stuff, more and more of your tasks, because you need to be focused. You need to be dialed in to your strategy, your company's strategic, easy for me to say, not just your plan, what your future holds, where you want to be going, the direction you want to take the company. And you can't be like chasing insurances and getting quotes for insurances, etc., etc. So you need to find other people to do that sort of thing. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm finding a broker who can broker the deals for me, find off market deals for me. And yes, I'm paying 15% for a lease, for a finder's fee for off market, and I'm paying 1.5%. 15% for a leasehold, 1.5% for a freehold. If it's off market, if it's on market, it's 1% or 10%. And that for me will free up so much of my time. And guess what? They're better than me. They're going to be better than me in negotiations. They're going to know what to look for, what to talk about. And it's a buffer between me and them. And you're just learning all the time. So if you buy cheap, you buy twice. And that's critically important to understand. All right, my friends, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you on Monday morning when I will talk about my week in numbers. See you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.